Hello, hello, my kings and queens. It's Saturday again, and thank you for joining me at Power Time. Now it's a little bit early, so I'll just wait until the scheduled time. We have about 2 minutes. Oh, and I will put on my crown. My crown. Kings and queens. Kings and queens. So we're back. We're back on a Saturday. Power time. I've changed the time today just a bit. We had some power issues in the area, so I apologize so much. But thank you for your patience, and we'll get right to it. Today's subject is especially for you. So we'll talk about five of the biggest issues that are facing nurses. And our topic is related to mental health. So it's mental health, five of the biggest issues facing nurses. So just give that a thought. And thank you for joining. We have about one more minute. And so if you're here and you have comments or questions, please feel free to add them to the comment section. And of course, you can find me at any time. The Power RN is on Facebook, and you can hit me up there. So that's always. I think I post like every day or almost every day, so I'm available. You can also DM me, and I will return your question or your answer to your question. Thank you so much for your following. And we've had a great number of new folks come aboard in the last week. So that's great too. You know, my goal is sharing and caring. So, how can we serve and save each other? And that's the goal of the Power RN. And if you just need to go get your crown, that's good too. So we'll be right here one more minute until our starting time. So thanks. And the Power RN loves you guys so much. I love nursing. And some folks think, you must be really, I am really passionate about the community that we serve and the service that we give. I am very passionate about you, about nursing. So let's get started. Again, we're going to talk about mental health, five of the biggest issues facing nurses. And you all know somewhere in here is going to be something about what? My favorite topic after I love nursing is COVID. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But it's just really all about you. So as you all work and serve, don't ever forget to take care of yourself. So really, this is about you and about self-care. And again, I'm the Power RN, Sharon Herbert, and I'm coming to you live from Power in Nursing. Power in Nursing is now Power in Nursing Innovations, and that is all because of you. I have noticed that you all have lots of thoughts and creations over the last year. And what we do is to facilitate the care for our patients. We don't make cookies, we make crafts, and we make something out of nothing to take care of our patients. So, as we do that, who takes care of us? We've got to remember about ourselves. So, let's talk about five of the biggest issues that are facing nurses. And the first, and it's all encompassing, is about you and self care. So the first topic is burnout. Now, what is burnout? Burnout is caused by chronic overwork. You're stressed, you have lack of job fulfillment, you don't feel great amount of support from leadership. And I think a lot of this was last year. Not that it's gone away, but it's been something that's almost been lifelong for a lot of you. A lot of your nursing career has been very, very stressful. And also, you have to deal with death and grieving of your patients, working long shifts, and high stress areas like the ER or the ICU. That's a lot on you, and it can just overwhelm you. I'm sure you've heard of burnout, but let's make sure we're really thinking about these items, where you are in that line, and we'll talk about some resolutions or opportunities for resolution. So, burnout is number one. And of course, as some of us oldsters feel, oh my gosh, well, it's all about us senior, seasoned nurses. We just feel in some kind of stress. And then you forget, well, there's also new graduates who come to the workplace and are unprepared for how those same items and stressors will factor into what they really haven't been prepared for, and the heavy workload that will come upon them. I remember as a clinical instructor, I had a pediatric group, and we went to a pediatric rehab where we had an assignment. I had five students and they had one patient, and they were needing to give meds and baths and tube feedings and take the patients to PT, etc., etc., etc. And they were like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And I said, oh my gosh, okay, well, we're doing all of that, and you have to do your charting. And when you get to the real world, you're probably not going to have one patient. So let's try the next week. We had two patients. They were stressed out. And they were not happy that now they had two patients. And they were like, well, Miss Herbert, what are we going to do? We have too much to do. And I said, and welcome. You're just looking at taking a peek at the real world. And that's what you shall face, if not more. And they were like, oh my gosh. So we have to help them along. Don't forget them. Don't forget them. Okay, so that's number one is burnout. Number two, workplace safety. Now we know that we have always had concerns about sharps. So we have sharps containers, we have strategies to not get stuck with a needle, and we're not doing capping, etc., etc., etc. And bloodborne pathogens, we have uh, sources, red bags, and red trash bins for bloodborne pathogens. And last year, we were introduced to PPE shortages. COVID gave us lots and lots and lots of opportunities to need to use PPE. And the shortage was nationwide and probably almost worldwide. And that was a huge challenge. And it hasn't quite gone away. but at least the leaders are being more thoughtful about managing supplies for the staff. And as we also have been struggling with more things to think about, you have to think about one other, and it's not new, but nasty thing. What about workplace violence? It has hit the fan a lot, and some of us probably have stories that we have never told and thought, okay, well, no one's going to do that. No one's going to do anything about it if they do that. Okay, it's really important that you acknowledge a change in your patient status and or their family. So be careful and speak with your supervisors and leaders about any problems that you are experiencing or that you have experienced. And each and every one, look out for each other. So look out for each other. Well, now we're at number three. And we are going somewhere almost back to capture a piece of number one, which was burnout. So we'll talk about what? Staffing shortages. And that has been a challenge as long as I've been a nurse, and probably longer than that. It continues to be a challenge because there are so many more things that people can do. Yes, men and women who have been nurses are finding other things to do because we don't have to just settle for being housewives, nurses, teachers. Women can be astronauts. Yes, they can be doctors. And they can be rocket scientists. So women are doing other things and they're not always choosing nursing. So that puts a stressor on some of the other staff who are there. And they're finding that their workloads are increasing because of the nursing staffing shortages. But the good news is that new grads are coming and they're still coming. And that's one of the things that I love about nursing. I love my students. I have some that I still mentor now, and one is graduating this May, and she's already ready for her nurse residency position. And that's so fabulous that we still have people who are committed to the caring for the patients in the community and service for others. So there's some coming. Care for them, guys. Love them, really love them, and care for those new grads. Okay? They need you and you need them. Well, back to that nursing staffing shortage. What does that lead to? It can lead to number four, and that's increased workload. Now you have fewer staff, and you still either have the same number of patients or patient ratio that you've had before. But in the last year, hey, thanks for dropping in, guys. I love you, love you, love you. So we're talking about biggest issues facing nurses, and one, especially as of last year, is increased workload because the number of patients that have been hospitalized because of the COVID pandemic and outbreak has been a tremendous shift in the number of patients for each and every nurse. And no one could foresee this. But you can't get nurses out of the closet or you can't make them in the laboratory. So the workload for each and every one of the frontliners has been tremendous. And that is a huge stressor. Very, very important that you acknowledge that and you work to take time for yourself. But don't forget, and even if you think they're never going to fix this issue, speak to your supervisors or your leaders. It is important that you care for yourself and that you seek an assistant person to hear from you each and every time you are feeling stressed and overwhelmed. Don't take it for granted. You need to be heard. Okay, so we're on number 5, and this one isn't so much fun or funny, and there's hardly a thing that we can do about documentation. And folks say, "Oh my gosh, I have so much to do." And now it's not all paper now, but it's the paperwork. I have to document, I have to call the doctor, I have to give the meds, I have to pass out trays now because we don't have enough uh, dietary help to help do that. And I have to answer the phone, and then I have to do my charting, and I have to give report, and I feel like I'm just spinning, 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 and I don't really have time to provide the care that I would like to do for my patients. I came into this nursing thing to care for people and to help them, and I'm feeling overwhelmed with all of this documentation. Well, we know we have to do it. But again, acknowledge what's going on with you. You can, as I said, speak to your supervisors. You can seek assistance from employee assistance program. Just don't do nothing. You've got to stay sane and safe. So, those are what? 5 of the biggest issues. Burnout. Burnout. What else? What else? Workplace safety. Yes, yes, yes. Nursing staffing shortage. Yes, that is a long time concern. But stay with it. Let's work together and help each other to stay with it. The shortage leads to increased workload, and there is always going to be the documentation. So let's work together to help each other along. If you see a colleague or a friend who is struggling, give them a hand if you can. And if you are in the pit yourself and you can't, call on someone else. There may be a respiratory therapist who can just help you because they're in the room. We all have to do this together so that we can stay in a place where we are functional and able to care for the community and the patients that we love. Okay? So, if you have more questions about these 5 issues or others, we've got to keep ourselves healthy. Self care and the care for yourself includes mental health as well. So make sure that you are acknowledging how you're feeling and what's going on with you, and seek assistance as you need it. Don't ignore the stressors that you're going through. So until next time, this is Power Time with the Power RN, Sharon Herbert, and we'll talk more in Power Time about subjects that are important to you, my community of nursing kings and queens. God bless you, and I love you. We'll see you next time.